Weather News Forecast. Good day to all our viewers who are following the Global Weather News Forecast program. It is our pleasure to meet you again in this familiar time slot. Ladies and gentlemen, mid-September 2025 is unfolding with a weather picture that is extremely complex and volatile across a vast region. From the heartland of the United States to the tropical basins of the Atlantic Ocean, powerful atmospheric systems are forming and preparing to directly impact the lives, production, and safety of millions of people. In today's program, we will bring you the latest updates on a large-scale weather system stalled over U.S. territory, promising days of thunderstorms, strong winds, and even the risk of tornadoes. The latest developments of Tropical Storm Gabrielle in the Atlantic Ocean, along with the potential emergence of other tropical disturbances in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Trends in temperature, rainfall, and the possibility of an early cold outbreak by late September, with the chance of early season snowfall in parts of the western U.S. mountains. We now invite you to follow the details. 1. A complex weather system covering the United States. In recent days, a powerful weather system has been moving across the U.S. Midwest. What makes this system unusual is that it is not simply passing through and dissipating, but rather becoming stalled due to blocking high-pressure zones and atmospheric troughs, keeping it in place for days. Such a phenomenon is rare, but when it occurs, the impacts are often severe. Yesterday, while thunderstorms were not yet extreme, several dangerous events were recorded. A report of a tornado in North Dakota, nearly 20 reports of damaging wind gusts, and dozens of hailstorms. These signals highlight the atmosphere's instability, ready to produce extreme events at any moment. Forecasts for today and the coming days indicate that the Midwest, the central southern plains, and even parts of the mid-Atlantic will be most affected. These regions can expect frequent showers and thunderstorms, with gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour, medium-sized hail, and the possibility of isolated tornadoes. Notably, Southern California, parts of Nevada, and Arizona may also see scattered afternoon and evening storms. While less common here, these storms still pose risks, especially with dry soil conditions that can lead to flash floods or localized landslides when heavy downpours strike. 2. Growing risk of prolonged severe weather. Meteorologists warn that once such a system becomes blocked, it creates a repeating weather pattern, meaning the same areas may face multiple rounds of storms. With abundant moisture streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico, widespread flooding is a very real possibility. Forecast model imagery shows that by this afternoon and evening, strong thunderstorms will likely develop over eastern Kansas and southern Nebraska, then spread into northern Missouri and southern Iowa. These hotspots are at risk of damaging winds and hail, with gusts reaching up to 50 miles per hour, equivalent to tropical storm force. This scenario is expected to persist for not just one day, but potentially the entire week. That means tens of millions of people will be living under constant threat of heavy rain, strong winds, and even tornadoes. Experts emphasize that the persistence of this system poses the greatest danger, as cumulative impacts increase the risk of flooding, flash floods, and property damage. 3. Impacts of cold air and blocking patterns. Another key factor in this weather picture is the presence of a deep trough of cold air, pulling cooler air masses down from the north and clashing with warm, moist air from the south and east. This sharp temperature contrast fuels violent thunderstorms. In addition, a high-pressure system over the western U.S. is causing the storm system to stall rather than move quickly toward the Atlantic as it normally would. In meteorology, this is called a blocking pattern. When blocking occurs, local weather becomes more extreme because the system cannot move away and continues exerting its effects. On the positive side, this blocking also generates upper-level wind shear that can hinder tropical cyclones in the Atlantic from penetrating deep into the U.S. mainland. However, this does not mean tropical regions are safe, as disturbances may still form in the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico. 4. Atlantic developments, Gabrielle and new disturbances. Meanwhile, the Atlantic hurricane season is in full swing. Tropical storm Gabrielle has already formed and is expected to intensify into a hurricane as it moves into the North Atlantic. Forecast scenarios suggest it will likely turn northeastward before approaching the U.S. mainland. But Bermuda could still face impacts. Beyond Gabrielle, new tropical waves are emerging from West Africa, moving toward the Caribbean. Forecast models indicate that while some disturbances may be torn apart by wind shear, there remains a chance of cyclonic development in the western Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico within the next 7 to 10 days. If this scenario unfolds, coastal states in the southeastern U.S., from Florida to the mid-Atlantic, will need to stay particularly alert. At present, the GFS and European ECMWF models have not reached full agreement. One predicts the system will persist for many days, while the other anticipates quicker dissipation. This underscores the importance of continuous updates, and residents are advised to prepare for unfavorable outcomes. 5. Weather outlook late September, early October. Looking further ahead, the weather picture promises even more unusual developments. According to European model data, a deep cold air mass is forecast to surge southward from Canada by late September, reaching the Midwest and the western mountain states. This could bring the season's first snowfall between September 25 and October 1. The mountain ranges of Wyoming, Colorado, and Montana may receive accumulations of 6 to 12 inches. While still early to confirm, if this scenario occurs, it would mark a rare early season snow event, signaling a harsher winter ahead. At the same time, temperature contrasts will grow stronger. While the central and eastern regions cope with storms and cooler air, the southwest and west coast may continue experiencing heat above seasonal norms. This sharp contrast only adds to atmospheric instability, fostering more extreme weather. 6. Warnings and conclusion. Given this highly volatile outlook, meteorologists urge residents to closely follow local forecasts and warnings. Prepare protective measures against thunderstorms, tornadoes, and flooding. Mountain residents in the west should anticipate early snowstorms and stockpile food and essential supplies. Fishermen in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico should be on high alert, as tropical cyclone formation remains possible in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, September 2025 is drawing to a close with a turbulent meteorological picture. The stalled U.S. weather system not only brings storms, floods, and tornado risks, but also interacts with the active Atlantic hurricane season. Meanwhile, the forecast cold outbreak from Canada may signal the onset of a harsher than expected winter. We will continue to monitor developments closely and bring you the latest updates in our next broadcasts. Thank you for watching. We wish you safety and peace through all these weather changes.